You are not ready for what is coming. We wanted Bitcoin to go to above $100,000 and this didn't happen. I have long positions still open since $93,000 and $95,000, but these positions are currently in a loss. Bitcoin broke down from the $90,000 area below to $87,000 and it's currently hovering around $89,000. Now, everybody expects Bitcoin to actually go down, but in reality, I believe that we still have some more fuel left to go to the upside. Now, we analyze the market using the cycle indicators, the ones that you can see at the bottom of the screen. And currently, the 1 week cycle is already at the top. We potentially already topped in this weekly cycle, but I believe that we still have one more move left. And this move is going to bring us somewhere to $94,000, $95,000. This daily cycle indicator that you can see at the bottom of the screen shows the short-term trend for Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies. And in bearish markets, Bitcoin tends to follow this one-day cycle pretty well. It makes a bottom when this one-day cycle bottoms, then it goes up. Once it tops, it gets rejected and then spends another week going down. And this is what happens in every single bearish condition. Right here, we were hovering around 20, okay, collecting liquidity. Then we sent the price up to 95K, made the top on the one-day cycle indicator, and then went down once again. There is not much room for error and there is not much room for interpretation. Bitcoin follows this amazing indicator every single time. Now, sometimes this indicator can spend a little bit more time under 20. And now, this is exactly the same condition. We are currently hovering, collecting liquidity, potentially getting one more low to $86,000 before going up. The reason is the falling 3-day cycle indicator. See this pink line right here? Basically here at the end of December, we had a falling 3-day cycle. What happened basically, we had a slightly longer bearish momentum. Then the daily cycle started pushing up, but the 3-day cycle suppressed the price down before all of these indicators actually bottom. Look, at the beginning of the year or the last day of the year, all those indicators were either below 20 or like the 1 week cycle was already showing the direction of the market, which is up. Right now, we are in the very similar situation. In fact, we're in exactly the same situation that we had just a month ago. The 1 week cycle is already above 80, looking to do one more run into the overbought territory, while the 3-day cycle is suppressing the price down. And look, we had this move down, we are hovering, and then we're going to shoot up into the 1 week highs. Now, in contrast to many other analytics, I don't think that Bitcoin is capable of going above $100,000 area right now in the next 1-day cycle. We're having really difficult time to push the price up. Usually what happens is when we go to the 1-day cycle, we get rejected and go down. Now, the most successful 1-day cycle was this one, where we increased the price by roughly 9%. Now, if we repeat exactly the same cycle, we will reach the price target of $95,000. This is very clear and this is possible for Bitcoin. Look, in November, we had a very similar situation. We went from cycle low to the cycle high, which was 11%. Right here to the bottom of the weekly cycle, until the top of the daily cycle, we had 13%. On average, Bitcoin increased about 10% in bearish market conditions. So $94,000, $95,000, or even $96,000 is a very fair price for the next daily cycle top. However, then I want to focus on the shorts and I want to short the market because I think that Bitcoin is going to fall once again. Beautiful thing is that everybody expects Bitcoin to get rejected at some point, either at 100K area or even below 100K area, and then go into the bear market to 70, 60, or even $50,000. But Bitcoin is always pulling a move that no one expects. We're gonna still continue hovering around $80,000 area, even when this weekly cycle tops. Definitely, it is going to push the price down throughout February, and we're gonna see a lot of negative price action. I'm going to short most of the coins, altcoins, and Bitcoin from the next daily cycle top from the beginning of February, but I'm gonna close my shorts at the daily bottom because we might simply get back to the 80,000, make a double bottom somewhere around this area, and then simply hover around this price up until the end of the February. Why end of the February? Because the weekly cycle is going to be again at 20 in the oversold territory around end of February or beginning of March. Now, in case the price manages to stay afloat above $80,000, this 2-weekly cycle indicator will be somewhere around 50. And these moments, these are the most explosive zones. Now, I'm going to look back and see what happens when the weekly cycle indicator gets the full thrust and begins its upside. Right here in June, Bitcoin had a short retracement into 100K area, but the 2-weekly cycle indicator pushed the price up even when the 1-week cycle was falling. This is how you analyze the cycle indicators. The price was pushed up and made a new high. Right here, we had a very similar situation. However, the 1 week cycle didn't even have time to go down. The 2 week cycle was pushing us up. Important is that during bearish market conditions, these actions can be very different. Here we are looking at the second half of 2022, and look what happened. We had a very similar situation with the 2 weekly cycle indicator, the 1 weekly cycle, 3-day and 1-day bottoming. Okay, the bottom 1st of July, where we entered into positions. Now, what happened is that the 1 week cycle indicator went into a nice move up to 25K, basically 20-30% increase, made a top, got rejected there. Okay, very similar to what we expect to happen right now. 3-day cycle was about to go down, but was pushed by the 1 week cycle. Again, similar situation. Then the 1 week cycle sent the price back down, made a double bottom, and we were hovering at the same price level. Look at what happened in October 2022. Now, the 2 weekly cycle indicator was going up. In the meantime, the 1 week cycle bottom, and if we didn't have the issue with the FTX, I believe that this market would have continued up, and the 2 weekly cycle indicator would have finished his move up to the 80s. Now, because FTX crashed, we had so many people and so many companies actually selling their Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. That's a textbook bank run situation. If that didn't happen, we would have continued further. This is usually how the cycles work, and we are in a very similar situation right now. We are just at the very beginning of the longer term trend, which is currently bullish. Now, this is also supported by other charts like gold to Bitcoin. Gold is rallying like crazy. I sold my gold in November, and I'm happy with the profit I made. However, I could have made much more if I simply held my gold. Now, I sold it because I saw this chart already in November. We were overbought on the gold to Bitcoin chart. The gold to Bitcoin ratio has increased since August 2025, and we are actually looking for the tops. Now, what I can see is that 2 weekly cycle indicator reversed up once again, but I'm sure that there is not that much power left for gold, and we're gonna top very, very soon. And some of this liquidity, not everything, but some of this liquidity is going to fuel the Bitcoin rally in March. That is how everything connects together. That's how you analyze the market using the cycle indicators. If you want to learn more about cycles or you want to get access to the cycle indicators, navigate to strategymaster.io. Here you scroll down and click the button gift a subscription or get a subscription. You pay 42 euros a month, you put your email address and you click buy a subscription. This will provide you access to all these cycle indicators that you can see on the screen, and also you will unlock all the cycle analysis that I do on a weekly basis, where I plot different scenarios for Bitcoin, altcoins, gold, and stocks, and I show how I move my money between these financial assets. In the last article, we responded to all the expectations that people have about crypto, such as immediate crash below $70,000 or even such bear market. Now, many of you are into altcoins, same as me, and altcoins, they are not performing well. ENA, one of my favorite coins, just lost the important support level at 20 cents and went to 17 cents. Now, situation can look very bad for ENA because the 1 week cycle is breaking, the 3-day cycle has broke, and the 2 week cycle has already resetted a long time ago, but it's still falling. Now, I expected this weekly cycle to finish its move and ENA to reach at least a 40 cents price, basically doubling my money in a few weeks move. That didn't happen yet. I say yet because we already had a very similar situation with ENA, and you can apply it to any other altcoin. Look at June 2025. The weekly cycle simply was going up like it did right now. ENA increased from 26 cents to 45 cents. But then a local top was made and we saw another 1.5 months of downwards action. Now, most people lost their trust in a coin like ENA. They sold it and moved to other coins. However, what happened next surprised many people because the price went up again from 25 cents to roughly 80 to 90 cents, exploding the ENA price by over 200%. This happened because this 2 weekly cycle indicator simply finished its move up and made an ultimate weekly cycle top, making a lot of money to everyone who was holding ENA. So I want you to understand one thing. It is very normal for altcoins to actually lose their support for a while and maybe do a minus 40 or 50% move before quickly recovering everything within a few weeks. Now, again, you have to stick to cycle strategy and you have to buy the bottoms. In case the market doesn't look good, in case Bitcoin gets rejected at 95K, what you want to do, you want to simply short the tops, okay? If you short the top of the market and then you basically wait until this 1-day cycle indicator resets once again and you close your short, you will hedge your position and you recover your losses that you have from the long. You keep the long open until we finally top at the 1 week or the 2 week cycle indicator. That's hands down the best strategy that you can find. Sometimes it can be hard. It can be hard to throw the money into the market, opening shorts when you already have a long. You have to forget your emotions and simply execute the cycle strategy. If you want to learn more, subscribe to my channel right here, click the subscribe button, and check my previous videos where I talked about altcoin breakouts, where I talked Bitcoin reaching $100,000, but before that, having max pain. And this is the max pain that we are surviving. Survive, be a strong warrior, and see you in the next video.